Welcome back to the 305 Sports Network. We are live from Las Vegas in the NBA Summer League. That's Zach. That's Zach Halpert. That's Charlie Kellett. I'm Gianni Campanello, and we are here to run down the latest. We're going to start by discussing a very prominent team in history. That would be the Los Angeles Lakers. They won it all in the bubble in 2020, but they sort of had a crash down last year. What do they need to do to return to title status?
Well, first things first, they need to be trading Russell Westbrook for anything they can get at this point. They're not going to be able to do anything in free agency with three max contracts on that team, and we've seen it in the past. No matter how dysfunctional the Lakers are at the moment, they'll get stars to play in the bright lights of Los Angeles. And with Anthony Davis, with LeBron James on that team, they'll be able to recruit next year. So first things first, get rid of Russell Westbrook and that god-awful contract. For really anything you can get at this point. If they can manage to get Kyrie from the Nets, which we've heard rumors of, that would probably be the best thing the Lakers can get, even with Kyrie's ongoing sagas. But there were reports that potentially they could trade Westbrook to a package to Indiana for Buddy Hield and maybe Miles Turner, I've heard. Whether that's true. Whether that will happen.
Yeah, you look at the way a guy like Kyrie or Buddy Hield plays. They like to operate as off-ball players who can take a shot or occasionally create their own shot, which would fit very well for a very ball-dominant Lakers lineup.
But just getting Westbrook off the team at this point, I think, is all the Lakers really need to do.
I feel like definitely getting Westbrook off this team is going to help them and propel them to a championship after not having his greatest season last year. And definitely on that contract, I don't feel like he's worth what they are paying him at the moment. And I definitely feel like building up more bench depth and just depth in general on that team. You can't rely on LeBron and Anthony Davis to carry your team throughout the playoffs. And with an aging Melo, you're not going to be able to expect them to really go far without having help within the bench and other people in their starting lineup.
All right, we've got a question here from...
Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Michael from Venice, Italy. We love the Lakers over in Italy. I think Kyrie for Westbrook trade for the Lakers would be a dream scenario, but I think nothing's going to happen with the Lakers unless Anthony Davis stays healthy for most of the season or all of the season. How much confidence do you have in AD to stay healthy?
I mean, well, he hasn't shown the ability to stay healthy, but I do believe that when he's on, he's definitely on.
Yeah, I do agree with that, and I feel like definitely minimalizing his, lowering his playing time, not expecting him to have to play a good 30 plus minutes a game would definitely help with that, because that puts a lot less stress on his body within games and would allow him to stay healthy for longer throughout the season, giving the Lakers another prolific scorer on that offense.
And Zach, this ties right back to what you said. They need to build up that bench depth. If they were able to do that, then you can afford to play Anthony Davis only 30 minutes a game throughout the regular season.
You can afford to give him a rest day.
Yeah, keep that team core healthy. Do the same with LeBron. He's, 37, 36?
Yeah.
He's going to be a free agent soon, and you never know. Maybe you'll want to go play with his son.
Yeah, and while LeBron, he may be one of the Iron Men of the league, he is still on the older side, and if they want to maximize his time in Los Angeles before he retires, it's better not to be playing him 40 minutes a game like he had to last year.
We've got another question here.
I'm Mitch from Boston. In games last year where LeBron didn't play, we saw Russell Westbrook perform much better. Do you think that LeBron could be a small issue for Westbrook, or do you think it's all Westbrook just causing problems for himself?
I definitely feel like LeBron could be causing some problems for Westbrook, because Westbrook in his career, other than when he was in OKC with KD and Harden, he was really his own creator. He was a ball-first ball handler that would create his own shot on and off the ball and could...
He wouldn't have to take outside shots.
And he could dish the ball around to his other teammates. I feel like with LeBron and AD, he has to try and take more threes, because those two aren't known or really aren't good three-point scorers, which is really becoming the new age of basketball.
Yeah, and I think this ties back. You look back to the 2020 bubble squad, where they had a lot of depth players like J.R. Smith, Lance Stevenson, KCP, who were hitting threes down the stretch, and that would allow AD and LeBron James to consistently create and get the team flying to the best of its potential. I think if you ditch Russell Westbrook for whatever the return may be, whether that's a return of Buddy Hield, whether that's a package for Kyrie, get some off-ball spacing, and I think you're heading in the right direction.
And I think Russell Westbrook could still have some value to a team that uses him correctly. We saw in Oklahoma City, we saw it to an extent in Houston, and even Washington. He can be used well as the guy who has the ball in his hands and is able to distribute to wing scorers. The problem is that's LeBron's role in Los Angeles right now, and the Lakers are forcing Russell Westbrook to be a secondary ball handler and a guy who can shoot outside the arc.
Which he's just not.
That's not Russell Westbrook.
And at this point in his career, you're not having Russell Westbrook change his game. He's 30. He's early 30s. He's always been that pass and create scoring guard that didn't work on the outside. That was more so Kevin Durant, his OKC days. You're not going to change either of the players' games at this stage in their career. I think it's best for a divorce of Russ for the better.
Yeah, although I do think that they could actually get more trade value from Russell Westbrook than fans have been led to believe, because I think he still has some potential with a team that uses him correctly. And if we look at a team that's maybe rebuilding, or maybe they're just outside the playoffs and are missing that ball handler, then I think that Russ could be really valuable.
Or a team like even the Thunder, if there was a reunion that has this young talent, could use a leader to, even if he were to come off the bench, take pressure off of Shea. Shea could even work as an off-ball spacer from time to time. But, yeah, a team that would deploy Russell Westbrook as that primary creator that doesn't have to jack up threes would be much more successful.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that. And I feel like the Thunder would be a good fit for him because he would be able to create his own shots and it would take pressure off of Shea, but he'd also have that second scorer in Shea with him who can shoot, and the supporting cast on the Thunder can also shoot the three ball pretty well, which would allow Russ to go back to his natural playing style of driving to the hoop, drawing fouls, and taking mid-range shots, which would definitely help his game go back to where we saw him a few years ago.
Not to mention a bunch of off-ball spacing wings like Lou Dort and Chet Holmgren, if that translates to the NBA. You've got Kenrich Williams, a good off-ball wing. And you've got younger guys like Trey Mann who can shoot pretty well. You've got Josh Giddey who could also be that third creator. I think the Thunder, it definitely makes sense as a reunion because then you could have Shea work as like this hybrid on and off guy to take pressure off of Josh and Russ, who would likely be your primary ball handler in that situation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think Russ would be a good fit for that Oklahoma City team. I don't think they will trade for him only because I don't think they will be competing anytime soon and they want to give Shea as many reps as possible. But if the Lakers are really desperate and are willing to maybe throw in a pick or two, Sam Presti's golden child, then maybe OKC will be a bit more interested.
Even a team like the Rockets who could use the trend here
the
is
Russell Westbrook reunion tour.
The Russell Westbrook reunion tour, yes. You see, even teams that can afford to take it, that may not necessarily be competing anytime soon, that could use someone to take pressure off of their young guys to embrace the rebuild. And at this point in his career, I think Russell Westbrook would fit really well. And when we come back, we will be discussing division predictions for the NBA, and maybe we'll get to some NFL later. This has been the 305 Sports Network. We'll be back in 30 seconds.